Together we don't stand. There is power in our union. Now the lessons of the past were all learned with workers' blood and mistakes.
Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Manns and I'd like to welcome you to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the February 5th, 2024 edition of the show. It is the 486th show that we have done since the closing of North Adams Regional Hospital and the 26th one that we have done since the announcement of its possible reopening. The April 4th Coalition's mission statement is, we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights and are against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We support all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but as is our custom, we put the emphasis on Article 23 at the start of the show. And I'm going to take a sip of water because I can feel a cough coming.
And I'll do number 1 and 2. Number 1, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment. Number 2, everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work.
Number 3, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, which is some form of compensation, ensuring for himself or herself and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection. And Michael.
Number 4 comes up. Everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for protection of his or her interests.
And as is tradition, we would like to give a thank you and a shout out to Michael Putnam, who is the program director for WMNB LP 107.1, which is the local community radio station, for airing the audio portions of our shows throughout the week, usually and definitely Fridays at 6 p.m. And to the staff at Northern Berkshire Community Television Corporation, David Fabiano, Joanne Hurlbut, and Nicole A. Brown for their invaluable assistance in producing the show. Dick, since you set the agenda, I'm going to let you take the lead from here.
And first of all, I'd like to welcome Susan back. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And we've only done a couple shows since this year started, but it's been a while since you've been with us. Thanks for coming. I thought, because we didn't do a show in early January for Martin Luther King Day, and because February is Black History Month, I thought we'd start out with Martin Luther King's speech. And at first I wanted to do his April 4th, 1967 speech against the Vietnam War. But as I put it up, it's an hour long, and I had a hard time finding what 10 or 15 minutes I wanted to show. But then on the internet, I found this on YouTube. It said, "We Must Work," by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's speech in a montage. And I tried to find out, exactly what speech that was from. And that's what I think we have to start being very cautious about what we take off of YouTube with all this AI, because there could be some false things. But I really do believe that this is part of a speech that he made in 1957 on May 17th, which was a speech, "Give Us the Ballot." But I'm not sure, but let's listen to the montage. I think it's very good, and we can react to it.
We must work through the courts, through legislation, through the ballot. This is what we've been talking about over these last few meetings, the necessity of registering and the necessity of voting. And this is one of the most significant steps that the Negro can take at this hour, going to the ballot box. But I would like to give you a warning signal. I tried to talk in militant terms for the last few minutes. But in the midst of this militancy, let us always realize that we don't have to hate as we try to straighten this situation out. Let us always realize that we don't have to become bitter as we try to straighten this situation out. And oh, my friends, if that is any one thing that I would like for you to remember this evening, it is the fact that somebody must have some sense in this world. Somebody must have sense enough to meet hate with love. Somebody must have sense enough to meet physical force with soul force. And if we will but try this way, we will be able to change these conditions and yet at the same time win the hearts and souls of those who have kept these conditions alive. And I know the temptation. I know the temptation which comes to all of us. We've been trampled over so long. I know the temptation that comes to all of us. We've seen the viciousness of lynching mob with our own eyes. We've seen police brutality in our own lives. We are still the last heart in the first fire. So many doors are closed in our faces. And that is the temptation for us to end up with bitterness. And I understand these people who have ended up in despair. I understand why there are some who have been a little misguided and they've ended up feeling that the problem can't be solved within, and so they talk about racial separation rather than racial integration. I understand their response. I have analyzed it psychologically and I understand it. But in spite of the fact that I understand it, I must say to them in patient terms that that isn't the way. I must say to them in patient terms that black supremacy is as dangerous as white supremacy. And God is not interested merely. God is not interested merely in the freedom of black men and brown men and yellow men, but God is interested in the freedom of the whole human race and the creation of a society where all men will live together as brothers. No, we need not hate. We need not use violence. That is another way. A way as old as the insights of Jesus of Nazareth, as modern as the techniques of Mohandas K. Gandhi. That is another way. A way as old as Jesus saying, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use them. And as modern as Gandhi saying through Thoreau, non-cooperation with evil is as much a moral obligation as is cooperation with good. That is another way. A way as old as Jesus saying, turn the other cheek. And when he said that, he realized that turning the other cheek might bring suffering sometime. He realized that it may get you home bombed sometime. He realized that it may get you stabbed sometime. He realized that it may get you scarred up sometime. But he was saying in substance that it is better to go through life with a scarred up body than a scarred up soul. That is another way. This is what we're about to see. No, that is a power in this way. And if we will follow this way, we will be the participants in a great building process that will make America a new nation. And we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. This is our challenge. This is the way we must grapple with this dilemma. And we will be a great people. And let us have faith in the future. I know it's dark sometimes. And I know all of us begin to ask, how long will we have to live with this system? I know all of us are asking, how long will prejudice blind divisions of men, and darken their understanding and drive bright-eyed wisdom from her sacred throne? When will wounded justice, lying prostrate on the streets of our cities, be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of men? Yes, when will the radiant star of hope be plunged against the nocturnal bosom of this lonely night, and plucked from weary souls the manacles of death and the chains of fear? How long will justice be crucified and truth buried? How long? I can only answer this evening, not long.
That certainly sounds like Martin Luther King in all ways. and stuff. And his message was always nonviolence and love and patience and understanding with those that are trying to keep you down,
To split us up.
to split us up and divide, because it's so easy to hit the negative emotions. It's so much harder to go with the positives and the constructive ones in life. Because the first reaction is to hit back, not to try to understand the other side and solve the problem. Mike?
Well, Mr. Ralph is. There's some people, it seems like it's easier to hate than to love. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And most of the violence you have is not necessary.
No.
But you still get it, and you shouldn't. Somehow, if we know the people who are causing all the pain, it's about time to stop them. And realize you got some country or different hang-ons maybe, and latch onto a country is to kill and so on.
Oh, definitely. We're living through a period where hate is on the rise in this country, and you can see it. And once again, it's being directed not to somebody with my color skin or our color skin, but at anybody who they have deemed are different.
Or religion also.
And
religion
religion.
is another thing that people hate. Use hate instead of love.
Yes, there's many religions that rely on the emotions
Yes.
to keep the flock in line, and because that's easier than to reason and to convince and to argue for something. But Martin, we still have Martin's words to remind
Right.
us.
And he encouraged us to vote.
Yes, he did.
Just like in our Constitution, we're trying to form a more perfect union. And I think the hatred was just as high when he was saying those words as it is right now. And if we can look to him to try to quell this hatred, meet it with, a soul force, is that what he called it, or love force, or
Yes.
we have to try to do that, don't let those that want to separate us take our humanity
Humanity
away
away.
from us. We are all human beings. And just as he said, it's not the freedom of one individual group that
Matters
he's
to
looking
God.
for. It's all of humanity. That's what we're looking for, that basic freedom for all humanity.
Well, that's certainly what God is looking for.
Yeah.
He didn't pick one group.
Right.
He really didn't. He created all of us. So
Right. So I think we're in this political situation right now, and he encouraged people to vote. Let's not get caught up in the hatred and get caught up in about being vicious or attacking people, but let's try to find a resolution that includes everyone, solving the problem. And of course, he stood up for eliminating poverty
Yes, he
from
did.
all the world.
yes.
And that's, I think
And
that
did
is,
you wanna
if we
read
have
over
an
it?
enemy, yeah, we probably, it is poverty.
It is
But-
poverty. Yes.
But when talking of peace, we had an article that was in this weekend's Berkshire Eagle with the protesting for peace. I just wanted to show a little bit, show the headline. There's some pictures of some young people that are standing out every Friday. They stand out since mid-November. A group of determined activists have protested publicly for peace in Gaza. Known as the Shabbat for Ceasefire, the informal group gathers at the Williamstown Traffic Circle to demonstrate support for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war, the latest salvo of decades-long conflict in the Middle East. So I just wanted to draw people's attention to the fact that this is going on right in our community, people standing up for peace. And if you want to participate, please go there.
Definitely.
Now, there was another article that was in the paper that I thought was good, and this was in Friday's Eagle about rebuilding a home, North Adams Regional Hospital, which is fantastic news. We've been asking for
For a
a
hospital.
restoration for almost 10 years now. It'll be 10 years in March.
March, it will be. Yes.
Yeah, so we've been asking for that. So the big question is, how are they going to get the people, the workers to run the facility? And so they had a job fair was held, and they had more than 100 applicants that visited, and 22 job offers for the 47 available positions had been made on the spot.
Right.
So things are moving. I think
They
that's
are moving.
it's,
I was actually, Tony and I were up for his physical therapy while the job fair was going on, and people were going in and out of the hospital. And I want to credit BHS. This is something, they could have had this job fair in Pittsfield. They did not have to have it up here in the North County. So we thank them for thinking to bringing the jobs to the residents, making it possible for residents in North County to apply for jobs. Because they could just as easily done this in Pittsfield.
it's been a long time coming, and
Yep.
Yes, I remember.
it's wonderful that, we've been fighting for this institution to be reopened, and I think, thank goodness, to the good work of the people in Southern Vermont Hospital have caused BMC to see the light, that we need a hospital here.
Up here.
Also, the good work of our congressman and state representative and
And the federal government
and
for
the federal-
changing
yeah, for
the
changing-
regulations.
getting those regulations changed so we could get this.
So we could get this.
Yeah.
'Cause without the critical access designation.
Right.
Which we talked about ad nauseum
Right.
for many years on
Again,
this
we
show.
just say thank you, and we're moving in the right direction. So I wanted to also show another video, because, there's been an increase in the union movement because of shortages of workers. Union people are feeling stronger. They feel like they can go out and strike, organize. Workers can organize. And there's a group at Trader Joe's. We have, I guess, one in Hadley, but we don't have one right around here. But it's a supermarket chain, and they've been facing unfair labor practices by Trader Joe's. So we have a little video that I'd like to show. I'm trying to, I'll cover it later. The name of the organization that put this up. But let's watch the video on Trader Joe's, and I'll do the research.
What illegal things did Trader Joe's do to bust the union?
They don't care about their crew. It's all bullshit. They have no integrity.
It was a wonderful place to work, and then it wasn't.
The issues we faced started with the pandemic, basically. There was conflicting information and burnout, but we had an extra $2 and then another extra $2 thank you pay, which made it worth it for a while. In May, they got rid of that.
Pretty much everyone in the store had their pay cut by about 20% over the course of a month.
There was a fund of separate AR time that we could use for COVID-related things, but that was just taken away from us. It was as if management decided that COVID was over.
We just got this letter telling us how well they've treated us throughout the last year. I can show you, I've made poverty levels, and I'm supposed to be grateful because they've cut my 401k in half. They've taken so many benefits away from me. Yeah, they're not your friendly neighborhood store that they pretend to be. My husband is dying. I had told my boss and the regional that I'm thinking of stepping down because I can't do this anymore. My husband is sick. So I finally stepped down, lost my dollar, lost my raise, then I lost my health insurance. They didn't tell me I was gonna lose my fucking health insurance.
Everything with benefits and wages was a complete mess with the pandemic. But I think socially, and when people get to wake up to how awful it was and talk about it, was when JJ got fired.
When JJ was fired, we weren't really told why. JJ was very well liked. What ended up happening, as far as I know, is that JJ wowed somebody.
Wows are given to improve someone's experience, to celebrate something with them, or to support them in some way.
If they haven't tried a product that they want to try, we can wow it to them so they don't have to pay for something to try.
They gave them a bag of almonds or something, and a manager saw that and decided that was unacceptable, so they were fired. But that's something that everybody does multiple times a day. It was confusing and frustrating, and I think it made a lot of us realize that that could happen to us. The union busting campaign, after we presented the petition, was pretty quick.
Management responded to the petition by isolating people who had presented the petition. Certain managers wouldn't talk to people anymore.
The regional vice president spoke to most crew members who signed the petition on the phone and interrogated them on if they had participated in it.
There were private conversations where I was brought out back to the loading area and questioned in a frame that was like, oh, if you're not happy at Trader Joe's, maybe you don't belong here.
Most of the people who had been spoken to on the phone received write-ups. Every single person who was physically in the store presenting the petition received a write-up. There was a lot of just surveillance of people in general. There was a lot of following specific people around the store. The number of people that have been pushed out has been just really sad.
There was a lot of misinformation going around stemming from messaging from Trader Joe's. This amorphous, like, third-party union was gonna come in and disrupt everything. There were a couple people who, in their review process, did not receive a raise, citing their involvement in the petition. That's super illegal.
It was so gratifying when the NLRB ruled in our favor. So validating to have a governmental entity say that Trader Joe's was acting illegally and that we were experiencing reality despite what they were telling us.
They'll have to notify everyone who was affected by a write-up or lack of a raise or bad review that their rights were violated. There are 3 of us who were eligible for back pay as a result of our missed raises at the last review cycle. Of the 3 of us, I'm